All right. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are on this beautiful planet. Welcome to the Inner Circle Live pre-New York session. I'm your host for this morning's session, Benny Allen, and I'm definitely happy and grateful for each and every one of you being here with me this morning as we take a look at the technicals and the fundamentals to see what we can take advantage of in the Forex market. So without further ado, let's make sure that we turn off any and all distractions, grab a pen and paper, take lots of notes, and let's make sure that we participate and engage. As always, if everybody can hear me loud and clear, do me a huge favor. Drop me a one in the chat. Let me know. Joy, I appreciate it. Good morning, Beneath, Yasina. Good morning, Kay. All right, everybody can hear me loud and clear. So let's make sure that we get ready to take massive action this morning and that we are accepting all possible losses before entering a trade, preparing you for any outcome. Let's center ourselves in body, mind, and spirit, ensuring a balanced approach to trading. Let's trust in our education, strategy, trading skills, and intuition. Let's always imagine our trade successfully materializing and that we obey our trading strategy, avoiding decisions based on greed or fear. And let's never look back or stop once our trade has commenced. All right, everybody. So let's get off of this screen and take a look at the fundamentals, right? So we had data come in last night. We had New Zealand, right? So we knew that that was coming up. The Reserve Bank of New Zealand kept its official cash rate steady at 5.5% during its July 2024 policy meeting, extending the rate pause for the eighth consecutive time and confirming market expectations. Policymakers observed that the restrictive monetary policy has eased capacity pressures and reduced consumer price inflation. Although headline inflation fell to a nearly three-year low of 4% in Q1 2024, it still exceeded the 1 to 3% target range. However, the committee still anticipates the headline inflation will return to the target range in the second half of the year. Consequently, the committee agreed that monetary policy must remain restrictive. However, the degree of restraint will be gradually adjusted in line with expected decline in inflation pressures. Meanwhile, the labor market pressures have also eased due to cautious hiring and increased labor supply, right? So we saw how the market reacted last night to the report, and we got a pretty sizable correction, right, to the downside on a lot of your New Zealand dollar crosses, right? So we'll take a look at that. We see China inflation rate below forecast. All right. So coming down. Norway inflation rate slows to a 3.5-year low. Right. So we're making it through it. Look, Danish inflation rate eases in June. Okay. But then in Japan, we got Japan producer inflation the highest in 10 months. Right. So Bank of Japan's gonna have to do something sooner than later, right? But everywhere else, right, inflation seems to be uh moving in the right direction. Clicking over, taking a look at the dollar. So we can see that the dollar index climbed towards 105.2 on Wednesday, rising for the third straight session as Federal Reserve Chair Jerome Powell reiterated the central bank's cautious approach on interest rate cuts. Powell said the Fed needs more supporting data, that inflation is moving sustainably toward 2% before reducing rates. However, he warned that maintaining restrictive policy for too long could unintentionally weaken economic activity and employment. Investors now look ahead to Powell's appearance before the House on Wednesday, as well as key U.S. inflation figures later this week for further clues on the monetary policy path. Markets still see an over 70% chance of a Fed rate cut in September, with a second reduction almost fully priced in for December. The dollar gained some ground against the most major currencies, but was treading carefully versus the Kiwi ahead of the Reserve Bank of New Zealand policy decision, right? And we'll take a look at the results of that. So, did anybody have a chance to listen to Chairman Powell's testimony yesterday in front of Congress? Mhm. Some of it? Okay. I missed the caught the rest. Okay. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So we see that there's there's politics and then there's reality, right? And you really got to. It was interesting, right? And so you always have politicians that try to make it a show, right? And the Fed gets up there as an independent body, and you know they keep it business, right? He kept it business yesterday, right? And so, he has a high degree of patience. Let's just say that, right? And they did Miss Warren. I know, right? She got up there and blew a gasket, but that's pretty much the norm with her for she doesn't like, it's obvious she doesn't really like the current Fed chair, but he's doing his job, right? She was more along the lines of banking regulations, but that's not really what he was there for. So he's got a great emotional intelligence. He does, and you have to in that position, right? Because they wanted to play politics all day, and he stuck to the numbers, right? So he kept it pretty black and white. So you have to appreciate a Fed chair that can get up there and do that. Yeah, and not delve into the political realm. So he was pretty steadfast and you know sticking with his mission yesterday, and that was good. So we'll see what happens on on day two if he gets yelled at by anybody, which is crazy, with adults. So yeah, so we'll continue to see what happens with the dollar. So they're saying a 70% chance for September, but we've got that CPI data tomorrow. That's gonna tell us. It's gonna tell the tale. Right? If it comes in hot, there's not gonna be a cut most likely in September. Right. So we'll watch to see what happens. But it was good yesterday, because the markets had kind of just been grinding along. But it was good yesterday to get some movement from that decision from New Zealand, which set up for some decent plays. So we will take a look at those New Zealand dollar pairs. Out the gate, any questions regarding any of the fundamentals? No? All right. So we'll jump over, right? Take a look at quick look at the quant box, right? And we can see, right, that the daily biases kind of were mixed, right? So in regards to where we are. So we can see that our Aussies for the most part remaining bullish, right? We saw that Aussie NZD really push as a result of the data last night. Gold still bullish, EuroCAD bullish. Just some of the things up front. CAD yen, right? Bullish on this, I mean bearish on the scorecard. NZD Swissy bearish. Pound Aussie. Dollar yen is neutral. Take a look at the heat map, see what we've got going on, right? And so we still pretty much the things that have been bullish are still there, right? Those pounds, right, are looking long for the most part. Right. So it's pretty much still right. It's still the same, right? We've got NZD Swissy now, right? It's flipping bearish, right? NZD JPY flip bearish as a result, right? Look at your NZDs now, your NZD CAD, right? And so USD CAD oil is turned over, right? So negative 2.15%. Euro GBP bearish, right? Dollar Swissy bearish. So we're starting to see some changes, right? On the heat map. But let's go over, take a look at the DXY, and we can see, right? Just kind of bouncing around, right? So we can see coming in today, we're a little bit bearish pre-market, but yesterday you can see we put in a bullish close, day before bullish close, and so this is gonna hover around a bit, right, until we see that data tomorrow, right? So I don't expect too much out of the dollar until we get that data coming through tomorrow. All right. So looking at the Forex factory. Uh, Today we've got 10-year bond auction. So we did see the yields pick up a bit with bonds. We do have some other we've got inventories too for crude oil, right? We see oil is down, so we've got crude oil inventories at 10:30. That'll be important. Powell testifying again, as we mentioned, but then you also have Bowman and Goolsbee from the FOMC talking today. Also, FOMC member Cook speaking. So this will be a big day today in regards to comments from the Fed. And tomorrow, right, we've got GDP month over month for the pound. As we looked at the heat map, we see the pound pushing long. A lot of those pairs are bullish. So this will be a big report tomorrow. And then, of course, that CPI data coming out tomorrow as well. So starting to get some things rocking and rolling coming off that 4th of July holiday here in the States. And we always need a fundamental catalyst, right? So we'll see. We'll see. Big day coming up to tomorrow. Moving on, right? So taking a look at some of these NZD crosses, okay, we can see that we are, right, like a rocket ship. Right. So when we say, hey, we need a fundamental catalyst, things are grinding, right? We can always get things going with some good fundamental data, right? So we are pushing long on this Aussie NZD. I was hoping for a correction on the lower time frames, did not get it, but we are continuing to move long, right? So we are actually about to come into a daily extension here, right? Off this fib. Okay. So Aussie long plays have continued to work out to the upside, right? Those swings. So we can see here where off this low, that price is gone, right? We didn't get any type of pullback. That's going to hit a daily D extension, right? So here we are on the 1. We zoom out. We've already gotten a new fib. Right? So we're going to look for, at some point, corrections and continuations to the upside, okay, on the Aussie NZD long, okay? We don't want to make it complicated. Keep it super simple. This is moving bullish. Any questions on the Aussie NZD? No? All right. 1 second. Okay. So moving on down, we'll take a look at the Euro NZD. Just do a quick check on these NZD crosses, see where we are, right? So we are continuing to push long, right? No technical structure, right? So stand in the way of strong fundamentals. We know that. So this is continuing. At some point, that's going to correct. But you see, we got that high as soon as that data came through. It just pushed it long. It just pushed it long. So we need to see corrections and continuations is what we want to see on this, right? So here is the 4, right? We got a 50% pullback there, and then it just exploded, right? It just exploded. So longs, right, against the New Zealand dollar. Okay, so we could be coming into an 80-20 zone here. Okay, so we look for that push, a continuation at some point to the upside. I meant to say a correction, and then we want to get long. Okay. Okay. But our stochastic, right, lagging is going to take a minute. Right? It's going to take a minute because of how that pushed. Right? So you can see how this is in the sell zone, right? And how that candle got pushed up. That's fundamentals for you there. Right? So everything will fall back into alignment, but we're looking long on the Euro NZD. Any questions there? Pullbacks and continuations at this point. No? All right. Pound NZD. Long. Look at that. Okay. So again, we want to see corrections and pullbacks. No doubt about it. We're bullish, right? There's the 4. Blew right through the extension. Okay. some point we look for corrections and continuations on this. What's weird is it's always amazing sometimes how the market can react, right? Because it came in line with expectations, right? There were no surprises. They expected them to hold rates, and they did, and this is the reaction that we got. So it all comes down to reading the finer details of the report of the rate statement, which I haven't had a chance to do yet, since it came out last night. But I will definitely do that and get something out, probably in the form of some sort of blog post or something to the group to read the finer details. But we got a strong reaction as a result of that data. Okay, so I will do my due diligence and see, what rhetoric changed from this report as compared to the last report, right? Because I'm always interested in seeing, okay, they held rates. What exactly was the language for the forward guidance that created this move, right? For this price to explode. All right. So, yeah, I could see if they were looking for if the market was looking for a cut and they held rates, but just about everybody I thought was expecting them to hold. So that's that. So that's the pound NZD looking for corrections and continuations, right? Right in this 80-20 zone, right? So what we look for here is for price to see if it starts to stall out, right? See if it holds in this zone, right? And then you could be setting up for that play, right? Back to the downside. If you want to play that, either way, you need a lower price to continue that move, right? Which with the pound, being fairly bullish right now, I definitely favor that long play. Any questions on the pound New Zealand? Good morning, Donette. So,
Good
moving
morning,
on.
Benny.
Good morning. So I saw you put in the chat, right, in regards to Jerome Powell having a high degree of emotional intelligence. That was quite interesting yesterday, eh?
Yeah, I think who was I think it was one of the senators from New York, the woman. She was really pungent, man. I was like, wow.
Oh, Elizabeth Warren.
Or
I know that was crazy, right? So she put on quite the show.
isn't he doing his job? He's doing his job.
He is definitely doing his job. He's definitely he was not there to talk about bank regulations. So yesterday, yesterday, so she kind of jumped on him about that, about some statements he made in the past in regards to bank regulations, and she's mad because they keep leaving it up to the banks to regulate themselves, I guess, and it never seems to work out, right? So she's concerned about avoiding another major, bank catastrophe and crash. But I don't think yesterday at that point in the testimony, that's what he was that's what he was there for. So
I
I
mean, it
but
was good
I,
to
I
see the old girl. Go ahead.
no, what'd you say? Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, I was saying it was good to hear the various, questions that they asked of him in
Mm-hmm.
order to, and he was really holding back. He stuck to his ground. So
Yeah, he,
I
he
was
he
like, wow.
doesn't yeah, he doesn't get into the politics at all, Um I found it quite interesting that who was it? Senator he what was it yesterday from Senator Tim Scott
Yeah.
in his opening statement was like the economy is broken. And then Powell starts reading off all the data that was like the exact opposite. I found that I found that quite interesting yesterday. Like this man just gave up here and just gave this huge opening statement about how broken the economy is, but all the numbers, like all the numbers are like the exact opposite of what he was talking about. So,
Is he doing his
that
job of getting where
yeah,
he's getting his data from?
Right, right. That's why I was thinking to myself. I'm like, where is he pulling this data? Because he didn't say like according to whatever foundation or according to a nonpartisan whatever research group. Like he was just spouting off dead numbers. Like I was like, what? So it was funny. Like in the the next statement, right? Like it was just like, no,
Yeah.
it's not true. So that's just the political game and things like that they play. But I really appreciate him for staying out of politics, and doing his job as the Fed chair. So uh
It's a
he's really
fine
good.
line though. It's a fine line to walk.
Yeah, it is a fine line to walk, right? Because it's just like you could say that one word or that one sentence that completely rocks the market, or gives one party the political edge. Kay said he's broken. I would agree with that. Um, Ours don't care about data or the facts, right? They try to drive emotions and feelings, man, for sure. But I was just like, man, he went off like, it's broken, yada yada yada. And then Powell was just calm and cool, like these are the facts. It's like, wow. So I don't know, man. I don't know. We shall see. But yeah, I noticed you have put that in the chat. We had talked about it a little bit this morning for you logged on, so thought I'd get your input on that. But yeah, he's
Yeah.
good. And it's just it just shows you too, right, in regards to judgment, right, and not being so divided that he was actually appointed by the last president. And the current president kept him in his role. He didn't get rid of him, right? So sometimes it's not about politics. It's like, are you good at the job? Like, like which is what it should be. Are you the best person for the job? So, yeah, I think he's doing well there. They tend to be managing things quite well because they caught a lot of heat in the beginning. People yelling back and forth, should you should have raised rates sooner. Now you should be cutting rates faster. And it's like they're just staying steady and relying on the data, which we can appreciate. So yeah, definitely interesting. So if you didn't get to watch it, we put it in the link in the group, and then there'll be he's testifying again today. So yep, we shall see. But moving on, NZD CAD.
Thank you.
Right. So you're welcome. So now we've got the the New Zealand dollar as the base currency, and it weakened, right? So NZD CAD down, right? Moving down, right? Approaching the 82.47 support. Right. So it is moving down. Right. So you can see that high there that form. Boom. Right. So now we're coming into the support though. So let's see what happens. We're gonna take a look at oil uh to see what's going on with that. It's just curved off a bit. So coming down into support 82.70, see if we'll break it. Look at the stochastic, right? So now where you had it the opposite way, right? Where you had price action moving up and our stochastic was in our sell zone. Now you got price moving down and stochastic is still moving up through our buy zone, right? Fundamentals, right? To wreck everything, but everything will come back into balance, right? Sooner or later, right? So we just have to be patient. But you can see here's the bearish move. Okay. So we'll see what happens if we can get through that 82.70, looking for pullback. So if you're on your lower time frames, that's a really nice impulsive leg, right? That we like to see, especially on those lower time frames. And so can we get a pullback, right? And then a continuation down. We'll see how the market reacts. But we have to say right now, in the short term, we are definitely bearish. So with this new AB boundary here shaping up, can we get a pullback and a continuation to the downside? Should be quite interesting. Again, I am fascinated with the reaction um, from the data last night. So I am going to, when we get off, start my research and really get down to the nitty gritty of that report, that rate statement to find out, you know, why there's such a strong reaction to the downside after it fell in line with forecasts. So there's something there that I'm missing. Again, I haven't had a lot of time to read up on it, but this is where the price action is headed right now, to the downside. So we shall see. Any questions on the NZD CAD? Let's uh let's go down to uh the 15-minute or so to see if any smaller 80-20 plays back to the upside. It's pretty sizable move to the downside. So not yet. Um to the 30. AB boundary there. And we'll move to the 5. Not quite yet. Right. So see if we can get that price action to push lower a little bit, at least on this 5-minute, 15-minute, to see if it'll hit the zone. Because we know after these huge impulsive moves, oftentimes, right, it likes to pull back, right? And so we could take advantage of those setups. So nothing doing quite yet, but we'll make sure that we keep them on our radar. Moving down to the NZD Swissy. Right, pushing down. Okay, pushing down. I think there's a yeah. Right. So we fit that 382 level, and we're moving down. So this one here, okay, we've got some alignment with that stochastic, and it's pushing bearish. So we'll look to see if we can get that to continue. Now, I've got that TP1 there because there's a fib that actually runs to the upside on this one. But just keeping my charts clear, I wanted to focus on that downside move for right now. So let me see if I can get it to pull up. There we go. Right. So this is this 80-20, right? Which is a monster move down to TP1, but we pull back, and now we might get that continuation down to that TP2 level. So if it just clear the charts out and focus on that wave, right? We're trying to make our way down, right? So you've got an extension that falls right in line with that TP2 level. So we are moving bearish. Let's see if we can get there. Because overall, right, we have to keep in the back of our mind that the Swissy has been bearish, right? And they have cut rates twice. So over the long term, right, once we get to a new established low price, maybe looking to buy that, right? Maybe looking to buy that. But what I want to see if we can push a little bit lower in the zone, right? So there's a beautiful 80-20 that played out. Let's see if we can get TP2 on that and then make a decision from there on which way we want to go with it. All right. So if we come down to the 1, right, just a beautiful, beautiful move down right now. So we are in the short term tracking bearish and take advantage of that momentum. So we look for pullbacks and continuations, right? Pullbacks and continuations for right now. Let me check our lower time frames. to see where we are. I tell you what, I can't wait till we move through these summer months, right? The slow grind of the summer. Things slow down a bit, but they'll be picking back up soon. Uh, so here we are, right? We've got one that's sitting here at the 118. I wonder if that's going to turn over and push a little lower, but whenever, right? Just a little tip, right? Those of you who've been with us for a while know anytime you get those strong fundamental reports that come out that'll push price in either direction, you can move to that lower time frame to start to find right a lot of those smaller 80-20 setups and those pullbacks. So that's one there on the 30 that could be shaping up. It's not looking too bad. See if SmartFit will pick it up. Yep. So that's there on the 15, right? Running right at the 118 zone, right? See if it wants to start making higher highs and higher lows coming out of there. And then we move down to the 5-minute. Yeah. And so that one's coming out of the zone, right? So possible NZD Swissy, right? Correction, right? Back to the upside, possible play. So keep an eye on that one. Any questions on an NZD Swiss franc?
Nope.
Nope. All right. Okay. So keep an eye on those, right? Might be a possibility, some shorter term plays to take advantage of. NZD-JPY. All right. This one I posted last night because that was moving pretty good, right? Because it's just so I chose this one to post because it's so overbought and extended, right? We know the situation with the yen, like it's just, so the key with this one is going to come down to the support, right, at 97.82, right? Do we break and close below that level, then we could be in for a larger move to the downside, right? But here we are on the 4, right? I posted the setup off the 1 hour chart, but you've got it on the 4 as well, right? So the key is this 97.82 support level, right? You can see we bounced there before, right? All types of consolidation around that level. So if we get through that, though, we'll see a further downside move. Here we are off the 1 hour play. Okay. All right. So seeing what happens once we get to this level, we've got a TP1, right, coming in. That's a little bit off, but coming around at 97.26 level. But if you're in this short, just know we've got that 97.82 daily level coming in, past resistance that became future support, right? We consolidated again around that zone. So this is going to be a key level for us. All right. So manage your trade to the downside, right? So overall, right, that move came down right close to 100 pips. Not so much depending on when you got into it, right? After that huge move, it pulled back, and then right around 40 pips or so since that huge bearish candle. And so we want to see if we can get a further downside move on that. Any questions on the NZD JPY? We'll go
I just
down to
wanted
the
to
lower
say that
chart. Mm-hmm.
the monthly and the weekly, it hit the D extension, so we haven't had a swing high
Yeah.
form.
Yeah, I agree with you there, right? It's so overextended, right? It ran through those extensions. Um, let me run it. I think it's off that low from where I had it last time, but yeah, there we go. So ran through the extensions. You're spot on. And right through the highs, right, Donette? Right through the highs. Look at that.
Yeah.
Took it out. So
Yeah.
even if we just see some profit taking at that level, right? Definitely still the yen still bearish, right? A lot of shorts, are still being put in on the yen. If we go to take a look at the latest COT data, you can see, right? 85% short. Right? Look at that. Right? So just increase the amount of shorts against the yen. So still overall bullish, but like I said, maybe we see some profit taking that'll push this down a little further. But I ultimately move to a lower price to buy because we haven't gotten anything really from the Bank of Japan besides a lot of talk. So I still would love to continue long on that, but I'm definitely taking advantage of this move to the downside right now. So we'll see if we can get it to move to a low price. Moving out, we'll take a look at the lower time frames. And see what we have. Been a huge move to the upside, and now we're getting this correction. So you even have 80-20 playing out. Oops, that's the 1 hour. Sorry, everybody. Go to the 30. There we go. So I wanted to see. All right. So that's not looking right. Nope. That's messed up. So we run this there we go. Like that. So similar positions, right? So you watch these did we get a 382 pull back on that? Just about already. Just shy of a 382. So these you watch, right? After that data comes out and it pushes the market. Let's see if it wants to recover, right, and move to a higher price. We'll move to the 15 and then the 5 to see. Nope, not quite deep enough yet. Well, we definitely want to keep our eye on all of them to see if we get any type of recovery. And that one did come into a 382. So this one is not as clean as some of the other ones that we've seen. So we'll see. We'll see if it see what we get out of that. But that main play off the 1 hour is looking good so far. All right. So that's the NZD JPY, NZD USD. Moving bearish, right? So we close out today, we'll have another high there. So we'll look, and then tomorrow, right? Keep in mind that we have CPI data coming through. So that's going to be important. So we are moving down, right? Through this zone. So we had price reverse a bit, but you can see how, right? We're kind of moving back and forth. But I'm going to let that sit, right? And because it's not coming off the high. No, right, took it out because it's been so back and forth. So I'm going to let that sit right here for now. Because of the recent move, look at this to the downside, and then we're going to see what's going to happen tomorrow with that CPI data. So bearish for now. And if we move down, let's take a look at our 5-minute chart. And see. Right. So that one's pretty much at a 382 as well. Let's clear this out, move to the 15. Run this off the high. Oops. All right, so all looking kind of similar, right? See what happens once we get to that zone, and then we'll move our way up to the 30. Okay. There, right? So in the 30, we just have a new AB boundary. So maybe on this 30, right? If you trade that 30-minute chart, if we move lower, right? At that point, maybe we're ready to react, catch a reaction back to the upside, like so. But keep an eye on those. Keep an eye on those. The market always likes to take some of the move back at some point. So we'll continue to watch. Now, so I wanted to cover those NZD pairs since we got the news last night. It was good, got the market going. Again, any pairs that you all want to take a look at, because I could just continue rocking and rolling, do a lot of stuff, but I want to prioritize what you guys have on your list. Nope, nothing. All right. So let's take a look at, I'll just keep moving then. Let's go ahead and take a look at the S&P. Let's look at these indices, right? See where we are. All right. So just continuing the S&P, continuing to push along. All right. No, right? No, no correction. Right? No correction. Just continuing to fire along.
Benny, I was thinking since, there's no rate cuts and price has been driving to the upside,
Mm-hmm.
the market investors are going to just keep investing until they have a rate cut.
that hey, listen, they're just gonna keep pushing it, right? They're just gonna keep it the move. The market has been resilient, right? Resilient. Like we come on, think about it. We just kept hearing recession, recession, recession. The market just kept right on pushing and moving. We are starting to see, some cracks in the labor market. That's why that testimony was so important yesterday. But they're gonna keep driving, right? Greed, right? It's gonna keep pushing the market, right? Things are skyrocketing, right? Look at speaking of the S&P, right? When we delve into it, if we move into looking at some of your major players, right? And we look at a Tesla. Look, long, recovered, right? So that's at 262. So what's been an all-time high for Tesla? When Tesla was like what, 259 or something like that? So this was another miss by me, right? Just put my investor cap on because it fell off for a minute and it has since recovered. So when we look at my app here, my portfolio. Tesla.
What was interesting too is that, you heard that the banks are investing all of the money that they're getting into the trading markets that way they could make more money to stay afloat.
Yep.
Instead of getting it from the organic way, which is you, the consumer, coming into.
Correct, right? So they're reallocating. They're reallocating, right? And I noticed that too in some of those reports. And that's what they're shifting, constantly moving that money around to see where they can make gains, right? Like you said, so you're talking about, hey, putting it in the market instead of drawing up those traditional loans and things like that, making money off the interest to people, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Right. Because it's a tight market in that regards, right? And, interest rates are high, lending, right? They tighten their belts a little bit, banks, right? Not doing as much lending. But the market is where it's at. Right? When you're talking about, besides education, of course, right? One of the fastest ways to upward mobility. If you can get involved in the stock market over time, is just proven, for people who, whether you're starting companies, whether you start a private company and then eventually move it public, as a way to these days become a billionaire. The stock market is the way to go over time, right? Of course, you have real estate, things like that, but one thing that's proven, right, is that stock market, right? And building that portfolio, not a get rich quick, but building that portfolio over time. If anything, just buy the S&P, right? Dollar cost average the S&P, right? Or build a portfolio with indices and things like that. If you're not real good at individual stock picking and things like that, but I guess a long story short, just get involved any way that you can. Right? Any way that you can. They've made it's easier now than ever before to get involved with the market through the different apps, Robinhood and all types of stuff. But get involved in the market, right? Even if you just buy one share in something, just get involved so that you're playing a part and let your money work for you. So that's your Tesla right there moving straight up. If we move over to Google, right, we can see right, and you guys, we had like, for example, we had Microsoft on a daily chart not too long ago, but you can see no matter what the asset class, everybody, what we teach in this group, even if you're investing, right, you're not so, trading. If you're investing, understanding not only fundamentals but your technical analysis, right? So if I'm looking to add, and this is a 1 hour chart, right? But for example, if I was using this chart and looking for opportunities to add to my portfolio and buy more Google stock, right? This area, right, would make sense, right? I need a lower price, right? If I was looking to add and buy, hey, I've got a good amount of Google in my portfolio and I want to add, right? Well, technical analysis can help you in regards to finding a low price to get in. See? Right. So no matter how you look at it, right, this stuff can help you out, right? If we look at Apple, I'm gonna go to Microsoft real quick, and we look at it on the charts, but you see how it just accelerated. But if I clear this out and go to the daily, you'll see what I'm talking about, how we had it. I cleared out my charts and I wanted to put them all in to put them all in the same workspace. So I actually did them. But if you go here, right, we track from the lows, it came in a sweet spot, right? When we were back here, right? How it came in and we made that swing and we moved to the upside. Now, this is our daily chart on Microsoft, right? That's our daily chart on Microsoft. So it's gonna move in waves. That's one thing that we can't deny. Here's Apple on the 1 hour. Just accelerating to the upside. So these are like your major players. Amazon, right? On a 1 hour chart. Look at that. Look at that pullback on Amazon. Right? Just continuing to move long. Right. So yes, with a Forex trade room, right? But we could do it all. Right? We could do it all. You could trade stocks. If, like I said, if you're investing, use the same approach to say, hey, what am I gonna add? Right? I'm gonna do, of course, you know, you want to read your P&Ls. You want to do your stocks have fundamental research too, right? That's my point, right? But you all know, just like you all know how to do your fundamental research on currencies, you do the same thing on stocks, right? And then you look for that price. So it's the same concept, different asset class. But that's a beautiful bullish move there, right? That'll head to that extension. What is that? 207.38, right? On Amazon. So this market just continues to rock and roll, right? So here's Meta. Like, come on now, right? Come on now. Is this a buy zone or is this a buy zone? Can't make this stuff up. That's moving, right? So think bigger, right? Is what I'm saying. Think bigger. Think big, everybody. Okay? Think big. Okay? And understand, right, the power in your education and what it enables you to do. Right? Yeah. NVIDIA. We saw the correction, chips, but it held within the AB boundary. See, we know that in this group. We know that. We know what that means. If it doesn't take out the A, I have no choice but to go your way. It's moving along. Okay. So that's NVIDIA. Netflix. Right. This is where we are. Okay. Look at the previous fib, right? Right in your buy zone. Okay. So it does not matter. This is how the market moves. Okay. So that's Tesla, Google, Apple, Amazon, Microsoft, Meta, NVIDIA, Netflix. All right. And if you all want to delve more and more into stocks, right, as we continue to move along, we could definitely do that. But you can see we don't change the approach technically, right? You know, so if you trade options, things like that, this all can work. Any questions on that? No.
No.
All right. Berkshire Hathaway. I'll pull that one up. You know, we could do that. We could do that one this week. Matter of fact, I'll see if we could pull one up. Pull one up because we're getting close to the end of the session. Let me write that down. That maybe I'll work on that one and post it in the group. Right. So there's no big secret or magic to what we do, right? Fibs aren't voodoo, right? You hear all types of stuff. Is you plot them on the chart and you can see that we went through 2, 4, 6, 8 stocks, right? And then the market moves in waves, right? That's that. So moving on, we get through the rest of these taking a look at these indices, but I'll stop in. Let's take a look at gold as well. The upside again, right? So look, all right, we've got CPI data coming through. This is gold versus the dollar, right? So like we said, interest rate cutting environment. We're starting to see inflation slow. So we're looking at, we looked at it on the front page, right? Danish inflation rate eases, Norway inflation rate slows, New Zealand holds cash rate. Japan, right? We got some issues there, but we know about that. But across the board, United States, you listen to Chairman Powell, things seem to be headed back to the 2% mark. We'll see what the CPI has tomorrow. But we came into 2024 saying gold long. Why? Because we're going to be in an interest rate cutting environment, right? Gold typically tends to do well. Interest rates are being cut. Gold does well. And so far, right, we've been moving up. So this is within our AB boundary. we look. Will it go back and forth and move down before it moves? All types of stuff. Yes, the price action will be crazy and wacky with gold, but ultimately, are we moving in that ABCD wave? Yes, that helps to quiet the noise. We're moving in the ABCD wave. Here we are on the 4, right? We found support, right? We were talking about it yesterday, and we have started to find some support. And right now we are pushing with CPI data pending here in the United States. Okay, so that's what we look like on gold. All right, so want to take a look at the Dow. Okay. And I keep forgetting to add the Russell on here, and I need to, but we'll get that added. All right, so the US 30 continuing to just move sideways and hover. Right. But it's sitting pretty high, right? We've been in this area forever. So not a whole lot here, but okay, look at your zone, look at your buy zone, and then look what occurred. Right? So we're just moving sideways right now at this level, pushing sideways. We need a breakout. We need a breakout. Let's see if we get a catalyst tomorrow with the CPI data on this US 30. Moving down, taking a look at the NASDAQ. Lots of indecision. That's you see that. That's we'll see what happens tomorrow. Something should break loose tomorrow with that on that US 30. Look at the NASDAQ. Okay. It's gonna hit a D extension. That's the weekly chart. Daily chart already there, and then some. Okay. Look how we pushed up and retested and then broke out above that level. It's gorgeous price action. Right? So we're not seeing the corrections that we want, but there's no doubt about it. That's bullish. That's gonna hit an extension. Okay. So let's see, right? These prices are a bit extended. Let's see if we can get some sort of correction tomorrow. That parked the low end on the 1 hour. Look at that. Right? And it's continuing to push. So this is what I love to see here, these deep corrections. But we didn't get it on this one. Right. So we'll see what happens tomorrow on the NASDAQ. Now the Nikkei, right, hitting some record highs, right? I believe. All right. Look at that. Long. So if you are a bear investor and you've been calling for, you know, the bottom to fall out of the market, it has not done it. All right. But there's some pretty smart people, so I know they're hedged somewhere. But there's just no, like, look at that. Hard to call a top right now on these markets. It's moving on. So hopefully we see some corrections soon to where we can get involved on some of these setups if we're not already involved in some of the pairs that we covered. But it's running. Any questions over anything that we covered this morning?
Yeah, quick one. So
Sure.
so in regards to the Japanese, the JPN 225, and of course the yen itself, is the correlation of that similar to it is as it is in the S&P 500 in the US dollar? Because we know that the Japanese yen is weak against every currency currently.
Yes. It's
And then
go ahead.
yeah, no, Kara.
No, you're good. Go ahead and finish it. Go ahead and finish
Oh
your
yeah,
statement.
sorry. And so basically, I was saying that with the Japanese yen JPN 225 strengthening, that basically means that they're both not correlate the same, but they both counteract.
Yes, somewhat, but then sometimes it depends on market conditions in the situation, right? So you've got a weekend right now. So we just seen that there's like, for example, on this year, and that's why I said they're going to step in and do something. You can see producer price inflation is at the highest, right? Because so something's coming. Because think about it. The cheap a weaker yen, right, benefits them in regards to exports, right? It's crazy with Japan sometimes, right? So it benefits them with exports. Why? Because if I'm coming from the outside, I can get the most bang for my buck, right? When I do the exchange. Plus their tourism right now is going through the roof, right? So you go to Japan, right? You can really take advantage of some things. But at the same time, the cost for them to produce the goods and things like that they export is going up. Why? Because if they have to import materials to build the products and things that they export, the yen is weak. Right. So it's costing them more. So at the same time, like, so you get that correlation is running high right now, but it's not always like that. You know, it depends on the condition, kind of like the why behind everything. You know, I don't know if that makes sense, but yeah. But right now, yes, it's moving. It's all making sense. It's hitting the highs. You got a weak yen, but at some point, right, things start to balance out and level out, and things catch up. You know, because it's like, man, we're putting out a ton of exports, but it's costing us more and more to produce them. You know, so it's kind of like Powell was saying yesterday, and he kept saying that, like, it's just such a fine line, like it's just a balance, right? And that's their job. You know, these central banks is just to walk that tightrope and just try to keep everything on balance, which I don't envy them at all. You know, but I'm seeing exactly what you're saying, but sometimes it just depends on what the market conditions are that are causing it, because there's times where you've seen the S&P and everything run, and this has been down. You know, it hasn't been performing the same, or it's been stuck in a huge consolidation, you know, for some time. So like I say, sometimes, and then sometimes the seasonality, you know, that can play a huge part, you know, in what's making it run. And then once you really start to get a better idea, one good thing for you to do is, for this to really track that, is looking at the companies and the sectors that are involved with the Nikkei, right? Kind of just like how we see with the S&P is running, but then we look at the US 30 and it's kind of choppy and moving sideways right now. Like, what companies are involved? What sectors? What are the major players, right? That's what I like about stocks, is really delving deep to find out exactly that 225, who's all involved in it. Make sense?
Yep. Perfect sense.
Yep. Yeah. Great question. Great observation, though. So, yeah, very, it's fascinating. Fascinating to watch it all play out. But at some point, we're gonna see. This is crazy right now, though, with this, you know. But it makes sense, like you say, considering, you know, that weekend right now. So we'll see. All right. Any other questions before we log off? No?
Sorry, Ben. I just wanted to ask Kay and the group a question, because I couldn't remember what we chose to read for tonight's.
Sure.
In the Candlesticks Bibles. What did we choose, Kay? I can't remember. Is Kay there?
Let me see. Is she still on? Or is she
No, she might have gone.
She's on, but she might
I
be.
think it would be I wasn't on yesterday, but I know we're gonna go to the other.
But what we were reading tonight.
Morning Star, Evening Star.
The Evening Star, Morning Star.
Yeah.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah, that's correct.
Thanks, guys. See you later.
All right. Teamwork makes the dream work. Everybody, enjoy the rest of your day. Always remember, don't just count your pits, but indeed count your blessings. Have a good day, everybody.
Thanks, Ben. Bye.